Hello guys, and welcome back to a new episode. So today I'm going to talk about live streaming. We're going to talk about all that you need to know when picking up a camera for your live streaming setup. So without wasting much time, let's get into today's video. So live streaming, finally, we are here. So this is something that most people have asked questions on. And I believe in today's video, before we get to the end of the video, I hope most of the questions that you've been asking concerning live streaming would be answered. Now, in today's video, I'm going to talk about camera, just as I said earlier on. And when you are picking up a camera for live streaming, there are certain things you need to know. There are key factors that you need to know, or key features that you need to have in mind before picking up a camera for live streaming. And I'm going to break it all down. Now, first of all, live streaming with a camera. There are certain things that you should know. All cameras are not built the same. Cameras are being manufactured based on the priorities at which each camera or the manufacturer deemed that camera to have, or the specific area that that particular camera strives in. Now, live streaming can be very cumbersome. And one thing about live streaming is that you cannot make a mistake because everything is going on live. So the moment you make a mistake, your whole event is doomed. So when picking up the camera or picking up a camera for live streaming, you need to be very careful. And these are some of the features that you need to consider. So the first thing that you need to be mindful of when picking up a camera for live streaming is overheating. Overheating is one of the key factors when picking up a camera for live streaming. One thing that you don't want when you are live streaming is whilst you are streaming and you are live and you are enjoying yourself, then you see that red icon showing that your camera is overheating. You don't want that. Now, how do we go away from this particular problem? First of all, look at cameras that have built-in fans or have a cooling system that helps the camera to cool down. So the moment the camera begins to heat up, the fans then cools the camera down, and that is going to save you from overheating. So that is the type of camera you should go in for. The next thing is long battery life. Yes, long battery life. One thing you do not want is that you are streaming and your battery dies on you, or the battery you have in your camera doesn't last long. Now, for me in particular, most of the live streaming jobs that I do, they tend to last from like 3 hours to 4, 5, 6 hours, sometimes even 7. And one thing you don't want is that you be shooting and your camera would die on you. You are going to be in big trouble. So what are some of the ways that we can get by some of these drawbacks or some of these problems? Now, finding a camera that has a long battery life. Something like the Canon C80s, the Canon C70s, they have these BPA batteries, especially the 60 version, the 60 BPA batteries, which sometimes can last from like 4 hours to like 6 hours, or the BPA 30 batteries, which sometimes can last from like 3 to 4 hours. Or better still, go in for a V-mount solution or a V-mount battery solution. Now, how does this work? You can have a camera which can be powered by a V-mount battery. So instead of you powering the camera with its built-in battery, you rather use maybe something like a dummy battery or connect the camera via its Type-C port to power the camera whilst they are shooting with the camera. Another way that you can get by this problem is powering your camera from a direct source. That is plugging in your camera into a wall socket and powering your camera that way. Now, there are disadvantages with that one also. Imagine there's a power outage, you are going to be in trouble. So have that in mind. The next thing you should consider when picking up a camera for your live stream is clean HDMI. Now, what is clean HDMI? Clean HDMI means that your camera is capable of pushing out a clean source of video without having all your data or all your information appear on that particular footage that the camera is pushing out of its HDMI port. So having a clean HDMI helps because you don't want to be streaming and you are going to see the timestamps, and you're going to see your f-stops and your white balance and all the other items you normally see on your camera when you are shooting. So finding a camera that has a clean HDMI is going to help you or save you a lot. Now let's move on to the next. Now these ones are stuff that some way, somehow, for me, for my workflow, I need this, but it might not apply to others. So this is something that you need to be mindful of, and that is autofocus. Now for me, because of the way I work and the kind of people I work with, I always need a camera that has autofocus. I don't want a situation where someone will be operating my camera for me and the next thing I see is something is getting out of focus. Now we have modern cameras today that have very good autofocus, not like back in the day where you could have your autofocus hunting here and there. But now we have so many good cameras that have very good autofocus, and they are very reliable. So for me, I always want to go in for a camera that has a very good autofocus, so that the person behind the camera can now focus on getting me the image rather than focusing on getting the image and also focusing at the same time. So one thing I also need in my camera when live streaming is I need a camera that can send clean HDMI out and also record at the same time. They have so many cameras, especially Canon like doing this thing a lot. The moment you begin to stream or you begin to push out the image through your HDMI, the camera then loses its capability of recording. Now, recording is very key for me because anytime I'm doing live streaming, I want to have a backup of whatever I'm shooting on my SD card. Sometimes I do record on the stretcher board that I use in switching my angles, but I also want to record onto an SD card just in case something happens to whatever I'm recording on my side. I always have a backup in the camera or on the SD card. So that is why for me, I always like to record on my camera whilst streaming. So guys, these are some of the few things that you need to know when picking up a camera for live streaming. Without wasting much time, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Let's go.